Hello, so I am not actually a Tzukook shipper, I am just a Tzuyu-focused Twice fan and only a casual fan of BTS's music. I don't think much of staring moments because that could apply to almost every ship. And honestly, even if idols are in relationships, I doubt that during an awards show they're even thinking about their partner 24/7 anyway. I also don't think much of matching outfit items because a lot of idols have similar items, and plus people can just have similar fashion in general. Nevertheless, Tzukook did catch my attention because there are some genuinely compelling moments that personally just interest me as a Tzuyu fan lol. So I wanted to compile a list of the most compelling evidences in my opinion. On some points I will be referencing other people's videos who've clearly done more analysis than me, and linking them in the description box. So all the credit to those peoples whose content will be showing up in this video. And again, I am not really a shipper, so I totally don't mind any discussion challenging any points. I will be doing that throughout the video anyway. In fact, I am genuinely curious to see any challenges against the most compelling evidence, so feel free to go off there haha. Number 4 goes to the moment when Jungkook sang Tsuyu's part in Dance the Night Away. Not exactly starting off with a bang, but this was actually the first moment that made me notice the ship Tzukook, haha. It stood out to me because the part he sang is not exactly an iconic line, unless you are Tzuyu biased hehe. Also he turns away quite suspiciously. However, I have seen two contrary points to explain this part away. The first is that something got in his eye. I personally think if something got in his eye he would at some point use a hand to deal with it. There's literally no reason for him to not to do that if that were the case. The other point is that light happened to flash in his eyes at that moment. The excessive blinking afterwards checks out for the reasoning, but no other person around him seems to be reacting to a sudden light. So, very coincidental bad luck haha. Honestly, it is genuinely not unreasonable to think that he realized how suspiciously shippy he looked, regardless of whether he has anything to do with Tzuyu or not. It's okay, I like Tsuyu's singing parts too, hehe. Number 3 goes to Cookie and Sosi Coffee, which is Tsuyu's mom's cafe. This isn't that strong of evidence of proving Tzukook to be a thing, but I believe it does show that if Tzuyu is dating a BTS member, I don't think it really could be anyone other than Jungkook. During this mini photo shoot with aalllll, #StanET, there are BT21 plushes behind both girls. Tzuyu is sitting on Jungkook's plush character, Cookie. She was also seen playing with Cookie in this video. Later on in a random promotional photo for a cafe event, Cookie is the only plush still seen. Obviously Tsuyu's mom could simply just be a BTS fan and find the plushies cute. However, if there is evidence that Tzuyu does know BTS members, it does change the dynamic a bit. I think it would be pretty awkward if Tzuyu was dating another BTS member, but her mom still kept associating her with Cookie. But then again, the power of cute can possibly reign before everything else, hehe.
에이, 귀여운 건 우리 쿠키죠. 에이, 전공 12 샤번투 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 전공 12 샤번투 BIJ 콰이.
Number 2 goes to the folded peace sign pose. Credit to a Tzukook_is_real on Twitter for the footage in this section. I typically wouldn't use poses as evidence because idols recycle through a lot of the same sorts of cutesy and sexy poses. But I genuinely have never seen any other idol do this folded peace sign. It also can be described to resemble bunny ears. There is another hand sign they also did as well, where one hand is the bunny ears and the other hand is a paw-like motion. As fans of the idols know, Jungkook is associated with rabbits and Tzuyu is associated with dogs. Incidentally, this gesture also resembles the number 25, which is Tsuyu's number. I don't know what context Jungkook did the 25 hand motion, so I cannot speak on that subject. I do know Tzuyu started switching up hand gestures randomly during fancy performances, and then went on to continuously do the bunny ears on random occasions, apparently during the same time as Jungkook did them. OMG. The interesting thing about all of this is that if you're a Tzuyu fan, you know that sometime around 2018, Tzuyu seems to gain more confidence. By the time Fancy came along, she was full on experimenting with facial expressions and doing cute impromptu gestures like these. This is also the time period where Tzuyu seemed to become more social in her private life, particularly with aalllll. This is why we stan Ichi here, lol. But honestly, there is a lot of things we don't know that happens in our idols' lives. Like the revelation that Tzuyu was secretly raising Wutsu the entire time during Dance the Night Away era. Then what is stopping her from having a whole-ass secret boyfriend as well? LMAO. I will say, if someone is able to disprove this weird hand pose thing to being a thing unique to Tzukook, I think it does significantly diminish the evidence of this ship. But until then, it is quite compelling. Okay, before we get to the final most compelling piece of evidence, I would like to go over some honorable mentions. These honorable mentions are not necessarily less compelling, but they do require a lot more extrapolation. So they are less compelling in the sense that they are less concrete, but nevertheless still worth mentioning in the wider context. The first honorable mention is the Harajuku date rumor. Credits to Sonoched and Tiki Nami's YouTube videos for the content in this section. I almost put this in the main list because of how realistic it seems, but in the end it is just a rumor, so it remains an honorable mention. Though the reason why it is so compelling to me is how it differs from other rumors. For example, there is the rumor that K-Nets allegedly saw Tzukook parents meeting in Busan. The most immediate thing off about that rumor is I did not personally see K-Nets discuss it, I only saw English speakers allude to it. The second part of the Busan rumor that is unconvincing is the fact that there is the obvious language barrier issue. However, with the Harajuku date rumor, there seems to be multiple first-hand accounts with credible-sounding descriptions. Additionally, the time frame of the events line up. All the details for this information can be found in Sonoched and Tiki Nami's videos on the subject, which I will link to. This leads me to believe that if people were too lazy to make the Busan rumor sound remotely credible, that actually makes the Harajuku date rumor feel more believable, lol. But again, this doesn't necessarily make it true at all. Even if the accounts were honest, it's still not 100% that they identified the couple correctly. The final honorable mentions goes to the 2 times, one in 2018 and one in 2019, where Tzukook appear to walk backstage together. Footage from Cookies and Cream and Jungkook_Tzuyu99's YouTube videos, which also have a breakdown of the moments, though I do have an additional interpretation to offer, hence this section. So, I am actually less inclined to believe the moment in 2018 on Tsuyu's part, as it is more reasonable that she could have simply just been lost, or was worried about Mina, who was sick that day. The Mina explanation, in my opinion, is the most legit because later on in a JYP group photo, she is seen with a black coat on, and a more sullen expression. Or maybe she was even a bit cold or sick, because I do recall her being out sick for a performance sometime in Yes or Yes era. Something like that. That being said, a noteworthy aspect of that exchange is that Jungkook is the only person who turned back to look at Tzuyu when she came from behind. There is a moment probably when Tzuyu was running towards the backstage area where Jungkook and other members look over in Tsuyu's direction. Probably because she was causing a minor commotion from her running. But then why does Jungkook turn around to look at Tzuyu, even after he already clarified that she was coming over earlier on? Also, no one else turns to look back this time, so clearly she wasn't doing anything eye-catching this time. Additionally, Jungkook just so happens to take off his coat after he sees Tzuyu, which kind of aligns with the theory that she might not be feeling well, and maybe he wants to give her his coat. That's nice, hee. The two do appear to be walking closer to each other by the end of the clip. Incidentally, Hobie also has an interesting expression when he looks back in Tzukook's direction. Truthfully, this is a lot more speculation than evidence, but there's still enough peculiarities that ultimately makes the moment worth revisiting. The moment in 2019 is a lot shorter, but a bit more compelling. Many have noted that Jungkook looks in Tsuyu's direction right as he comes close to her. But a less noted thing is that Tzuyu actually briefly turns towards Jungkook's direction right after he turns to her direction, before turning to look straight ahead again. This strengthens the idea that it was not a mere coincidence that he happened to look in her direction in this particular case. Additionally, Na-yeon does "I got my eyes on you" pose point and finger wag towards Tzukook direction. It could be argued that Na-yeon was just having a separate conversation with Momo, as Momo was not looking in Jungkook's direction, and that the hand motions were coincidental. But if you rewind, you can see that while Na-yeon and Momo are clearly in a conversation before Jungkook passes by. Once Jungkook does pass by, both Na-yeon and Momo briefly turn their heads towards Jungkook's direction. When Momo turns back to Na-yeon, she does so in a stilted way, and also appears to have a wider smile. I am probably reading too much into this Na-yeon hand gesture, just trying to strengthen the evidence here, LMAO. All in all, though there is nothing concrete going on in this section, it is quite plausible to feel that there was at least one moment of acknowledgement between the two, hee. At last, we reach the final and most compelling piece of evidence. The number one most compelling evidence in my opinion goes to this verbal exchange during BTS's backstage interview for Mama 2019. A subtle moment, for sure, but in my opinion, is the most compelling evidence that there might be a relationship between Tzuyu and Jungkook. In this clip you can clearly hear Jimin say,
"Tzuyu 씨,
and Jungkook saying something to the effect of either, "Tzuyu is here,"
Tzuyu 여기 있어,
or "Tzuyu come here."
Tzuyu 여기 와."
For Jungkook's line, I personally heard the latter, "Tzuyu come here," but I'm not Korean and I've seen people say it's the former, so I will just leave both up for you to decide. To further support the peculiarity of the conversation, you can see that Taehyung also reacts to the comments, raising an eyebrow and widening his eyes. It's so significant that you can easily pinpoint the moment Taehyung hears Tsuyu's name with no audio, LMAO, #TateZuTeasLol. To contrast, there's another clip during the same video going around where Jimin seems to sound like he's saying, "Chuya." But it seems highly more likely Jimin is just exclaiming that he is cold, which sounds like
"추위."
No one reacts to Jimin's pretty loud exclamation either, so that also supports the idea that Jimin is just saying he is cold in that moment. Now going back to the first clip, the reason why this moment is so compelling, aside from the fact that it's pretty believable that they are talking about Tzuyu, is the different way that Jimin and Jungkook address Tzuyu. Jimin adds
"씨."
at the end, which makes his referral to Tzuyu sound more formal, whereas Jungkook does not add an honorific, which implies a closer relationship. Additionally, it is earlier mentioned that BTS are borrowing TXT's waiting rooms for these interviews. If the waiting rooms are provided in alphabetical order, which is reasonable to assume, that would make their location close to Twice's waiting room. Genuinely, the only thing fighting against this evidence is the fact that it is curious why they would approve uploading something so obvious. I suppose it is reasonable to believe that it just wasn't noticeable enough to be caught. Coincidentally, that interview also wraps up shortly after that moment, haaah. As I have stated in the beginning, I am not actually a Tzukook shipper, but with all of this evidence added up, it's hard to deny the possibility. Thank you for watching my long-winded video. And apologies for cheaply using other people's content. I don't claim any of it, and I will link to all of the original videos. I'm not here to be a consistent YouTuber, I was just itching to post my thoughts about this topic. Hope I can be excused for this one time, haha. Anyway, if any fans of Tzukook happen to find this, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I did create some new revelations, rather than bored or offend for 15 minutes LMAO. And if any detractors are here, please do explain away the hand pose thing in the audio evidence, like seriously, because damn. That stuff got me shocked, lol. But I mean, there still is a whole section of YouTube that believes Jungri is the realest and most underrated Jungkook ship, so I have zero investment in Red Velvet or Jungkook's love life, so I don't really care to look into that. Maybe Kookie is a real international playboy LMAO, and anyway, I am still totally down for ET being the actual real Tzuyu ship, since they got a whole ass Valentine's date and hometown vacation. And that birthday message, the cutest the shit. Okay, I am really logging off now, bye.